We'll now get a chance to talk to a man who has worked directly with him. He has direct knowledge of what kind of guy and what kind of manager Walt Weiss is as former Major League Baseball player and host of Baseball and Coffee on YouTube TV for MLB. Joins us. Adam Ottavino joins us here in the locker room on the Fan 680 93.7 FM. Adam, thank you so much for your time in the locker room this morning.
Sure. Thanks for having me, guys.
Well, it's news to us. We were waiting with bated breath to see what the managerial decision was going to be. Right off the rip for you, you played for Walt in Colorado. And, what's the first word that comes to your mind when you hear he is managing for the Braves? And why does he fit this roster?
It's hard to put it into one word, but I'm really excited for Walt. I'm excited for the Braves as well. They get a little continuity. They know who they're getting in Walt. He's a great leader. I had him in Colorado for 4 years. Circumstances were a bit different, where that team was and where the Braves are now in terms of, winning and all that sort of stuff. But I think Walt's a really good baseball guy. I think he understands the game well, and I'm excited for him to get this second opportunity. I know he really wanted it.
Adam, we got to have years of Brian Snitker, who's super laid back, super chill. We loved him. What is Walt Weiss's managerial style inside the clubhouse? Is he a yeller, a screamer? How is he going to push buttons of guys on this team?
It'll be interesting to see what changes he makes the second time around. But, Walt's not much of a screamer, but when he does get upset, you tend to really notice. He can go to a very dark place when needed to get his message across. He's a big, strong, intimidating guy. He practices MMA. There's a toughness to Walt, and there's a respect level that he definitely brings every single day to the ballpark. Then you have to meet that level. You have to meet his level of toughness, and that's what it takes to play for him. But he's also very intelligent, knows the game really well, played for a long time under some great managers. Now he's been under Snit for a while. So I'm assuming he's evolved his game, and we're going to get a slightly different version of Walt this go around in Atlanta as skipper. But, the foundation was there. Definitely a guy that, gets huge respect in the room and somebody that you want to run through a wall for sure.
How would you describe his communication with players on a daily basis?
I think that's something that improved over the 4 years I had him. Individually, he was really good at communicating with me, checking in on me, being upfront with me on things I needed to get better at, things that he, where his expectations were. I mean, his standards were always clear, so I felt like communication wasn't really an issue as time went on. I think when he first got in the seat, it's a little bit of a different experience than what he had before, but I thought he took to it well. And he communicated very well with the group over the course of those next few years.
Former Major League Baseball player, host of Baseball and Coffee on YouTube for MLB, Adam Ottavino joins us here in the locker room via the Loud Security Systems Newsmaker line.
Adam, I saw your name come across the ticker on MLB Network as we were watching it. Have some opportunities for you out there in the world of baseball. How's everything going? You got some decisions to make, not unlike your daughter had to make the other day for Halloween. I think she had 5 costumes, you said, on your podcast, and she went as herself instead.
Yeah, we run into a lot of indecision when it comes to Halloween. But we ended up having a good night, so it was all worth it in the end. For me, it's the same deal. I'm just getting used to not playing, figuring out, what route I want to take, have a lot of balls in the air. But everything's good. It's all good. It's all exciting. I'll be doing stuff in baseball, which is where my passion lies. So I'm happy with I'm happy with everything and excited for the future.
That's awesome. Walt Weiss, as far as, because baseball is kind of taking a big turn since you played for Walt back in Colorado. How much do you think he embraces the analytics as opposed to gut and feel in old school baseball?
It's a good question because when I played for him, it was, a little bit before the era that we're in now. I think there was some information, and that was all certainly being used, but he was also dealing with a little bit of an interesting front office structure with the Rockies when we were there. There was 2 GMs. One of them had an office in the clubhouse.
Wow.
I don't think that the shackles were completely taken off of Walt's wrists while he was manager for the Rockies. I'd be curious to see what that process would look like in Atlanta. But, if you're going to manage a big league club, a club that wants to win these days, you have to be able to kind of blend both approaches. You got to understand the numbers and what they're telling you. You also got to be able to watch the game, and be able to pivot on a dime off of something you see. So hopefully, the last 8 years being in huge games with the Braves and obviously winning that one World Series, kind of showed him the route to getting wins, and hopefully his approach has continued to evolve. But I really have no doubt it has, because he's somebody with a growth mindset and an intellectual curiosity for sure.
The analytics in Colorado, the ball flies out of the ballpark no matter what's going on. When you look at to that point, it's just hard to win in Colorado. I mean, ERAs are just through the roof. It's just hard to win there, being that he came from a place where you had to learn how to deal with bad times a lot. How do you think that prepares him to come into a situation where, expectations are high and this is expected to be a playoff and at some point a World Series team?
I actually think it's very beneficial. We weren't a winning team when Walt was managing us, but we were headed that direction. I think he did a great job aiding the development of a lot of our young players at the time. The Trevor Story, Nolan Arenado, Charlie Blackmon type of guys who turned into star players. And the Rockies reaped the benefits of that the years right after Walt's departure in 17 and 18. So he laid the foundation for that. But I have to imagine, working with this Braves team that has a lot of talent and is more in a win-now situation, it's got to be an exciting situation for him. He never really got to see it through, to the winning part of the cycle with the Rockies. And now being with the Braves, a team that, clearly has enough talent to compete right now, I think that's got to be an exciting situation for Walt.
It's interesting you say that, because I was going to ask you about the perceived talent outside. Because here in Atlanta, we feel, obviously, this team is really positioned to be good. They fell on their face this year with injuries and guys not hitting. From around the world of baseball, is it still viewed as one of the top rosters in all of baseball?
Yeah, I think this year will help define that a little more clearly, because last year was a surprise and a shock, frankly, to everybody who's seen the Braves play baseball the last few years. Me being in the National League East, I was stunned to see the Braves kind of, in the basement this year. It didn't make much sense to me. They have, really, really dynamic offense, lots of good pitchers. I know they ran through some injury issues, and that's what really got them this year. But ultimately, they have a good roster. They have a lot of good people in place. They do a good job with their farm system. They should always have talent there. It's a place that you expect to win, and I don't think that they'll be in the basement too long.
Former Major League Baseball player, host of Baseball and Coffee on YouTube for MLB, Adam Ottavino joins us here in the locker room. Your thoughts on the Dodgers and the philosophy of where baseball is right now? Look, it's wide open. You can pay as much as you want, as little as you want for a roster. Obviously, revenue has a lot to do with that, but your thoughts on the Dodgers going back-to-back with a chance to go for a three-peat with the massive amount of salary they have poured into that team?
Yeah, it's easy to look at the salary and say, this was a foregone conclusion. But anybody who watched the postseason saw it was far from a foregone conclusion. And really, there's a couple of roster moves that paid dividends a lot larger than the rest of them, right? The decision to give Yoshinobu Yamamoto the biggest contract in the history of pitching, despite having never thrown a pitch, in the major leagues before, that was a little bit of a leap. And we saw how that move specifically probably won them the World Series this year. So I'll give them credit, not only for spending the money, but also for spending the money on some of the right guys, and also really prioritizing, what wins in the playoffs. I think having the proper starters and the right type of pitchers and more of a diverse lineup, and even some good defensive moves that poke their head out in Game 7. Having a versatile roster that can affect both sides of the ball, I think, is ultimately what it takes to make it. I think in the current landscape of baseball, they do have the advantage of kind of being able to stack the deck with talent and not worrying about having to get in the dance. And then once they're in the dance, they know that they have the horses to potentially get through that gauntlet. I think everybody else, for the most part, is trying to figure out how to get in every year. So, there's multiple ways to go about it. And certainly the Dodgers have that Shohei deferred contract advantage. But at the same time, you got to give them credit for some of the ancillary moves they've made as well.
No doubt. He's Adam Ottavino, and he joins us here. He's got the Baseball and Coffee, the show. He's the host of that podcast. He also, when you play as long as you did in Major League Baseball, you get some perks. And I saw on your Instagram the lifetime pass. What does that get you in Major League Baseball when you got that gold card that says, "Let me in"?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. After you get 8 years of service time, it shows up in your locker one day, and basically you can go to any ball game that's not a playoff game and go with a guest for free, and they give you the best 2 seats available. So you just pull it to the box office, and I wasn't sure if it actually worked, to be honest with you guys. But I went and tried it out myself midway through the summer at a game at Yankee Stadium, and sure enough, I was sitting in about the 7th row before I knew what happened. So it was pretty cool.
That's amazing.
We don't have that in radio. So like,
we don't have that in football, for God's sake.
Go card show up at a bar somewhere, any bar you want to, whenever you feel like. That's a cool gift and earned opportunity for everybody in Major League Baseball. Well, we thank you for your time. That's fantastic information. You know, some folks have to let it settle in. Some folks are very excited about Walt Weiss. I think most people who want the Braves to win know that they usually make the right decisions, and this was going to have a great opportunity to be a good one. And we thank you for your time, Adam.
All right, thanks for having me, guys.